Hi, this is Andrew from 55645X Arsenal, and today I'm going to be showing my autonomous selector and brain interface. This was inspired by William from 2733J Jelly, who shared his autonomous selector, which I thought was pretty cool, and not a lot of teams make videos about these kind of things, so yeah, I decided to just share mine. So firstly is the intro GIF, which was implemented using Theo's GIF-pros, which I can link in the description. One thing to note about using GIF-pros, or just using GIFs on V5 Brain in general, is that the SD cards need to be formatted as FAT32, which I did not know, and that kept me very frustrated for an hour. So yeah, make sure you do that when you're working with GIFs on the brain. So on the main screen here, we have our autonomous selector. So firstly, we'll start with the drop-down list. This was made using a combination of tab views and the drop-down list offered in LVGL. And yeah, I have little symbols associated with each page just for fun. And yeah, so for autonomous selection, we have these buttons right here. And on the right hand side right here, we have a text area that gives a description of what the autonomous route does and its name. And on the upper right hand corner here, there's just another GIF that I made. Took the team logo and just slapped a glitch effect and a rainbow going on behind it. Looks pretty cool. I'm happy with that. And yeah, moving on to the motor dashboard, we have 6 pieces of data that is put onto the brain for each motor. Well, only really 3 are displayed at a time, but you can toggle to get between these 6 options. So the color corresponds to the column that it is in. So for example, with temperature and current here, if it's red, that's the active one right now. That corresponds to the column of the color. So right now it's displaying temperature. And the reason that these are displaying 2147 is because these motors are not plugged in right now. And so they're basically just getting back infinity from, and then displaying that as the maximum value of an integer, which is greater than 2147, but I cut this off at 4 characters. So yeah. Going into driver control, you can see these. Well, let's go to velocity and volts. You can see them all updating. I think that's pretty cool. And going to the sensors page. So firstly, we have our limit switch here. Only really 2 pieces of data you can get from this, whether it's open or pressed. So yeah, we have that there with a X for open and a check for pressed. Next is our optical sensor. Oh yeah, I should clarify. In the motor dashboard too, each of these numbers is just the port of the motor. Same goes for sensors and yeah, the optical sensor too, right here. So we just get hue, saturation, brightness. That's also not plugged in, so it's displaying the 214 cut off at 3 characters. Here's a little button I made for increasing the LED power or the LED brightness on the optical sensor. And yeah, that can go up and down. And here we have our rotation sensor data. Here's our inertial sensor. So here, this circle looking thing is just a gauge in LVGL set to 360 degrees. And the needle kind of blends in here, but you can see that if I move the inertial sensor, the needle moves with it. It's not exactly accurate, but it gives a rough graphical representation of where the inertial sensor is, kind of like in the V5, the actual V5 dashboard, but worse. And yeah, we have heading and rotation here, which is actually accurate instead of this. And yeah, in this lower right hand corner is the battery data. Didn't really know what to do with this corner, so I just threw that in there. And yeah, that's about it for the interface. One more thing I wanted to add was our motor disconnect detection, which 2775V Jackson area showed us at WPI, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I just decided to implement that. So when this motor is disconnected, the controller will start rumbling, and the display flashes, or the name of the motor starts flashing on the controller display. And yeah, it gets a little bit annoying after a while, so I'm gonna plug that back in. And yeah, it stops. So yeah, that's it. I hope, as simple as it was, I hope this gave some ideas to some people who potentially may want to implement an autonomous selector or interface.